Welcome over, everyone. I hope everyone is hyped up on the current price action across the board, Bitcoin, the S&P, among other trading instruments. I hope each one of you are doing great on this. I can't remember what day is today. Tuesday the 15th of 2024. So where are we in the price action? Let's do a little rewind and remember where we are, where we were, of course, as we always suggest. Over the past 2 years, we have been we have experienced an upward trending market without a drastic counteracting pressure, pretty much. Despite all other major leading economic indicators that continues to develop, however, the markets are keep going higher and higher, at least within the equities market, where I've been more cautious within the 700 region, 58 all the way up until 6,000 region. Why? I will explain why once again, but also I would like to point out also that being able to recognize changes in the market trend is an important element in making money, whether you are a swing trader like myself or a day trader for those who are looking short-term trend opportunities. Either or works, whatever works for you, you should stick to that strategy. By the way, I was invited, or I applied on a video. I was hosted, or I was as a guest, as a guest on Top Step TV, where we were discussing my strategy from a swing trading perspective and how can I integrate that methodology into smaller time frames, correct, for day traders. I have the pleasure of sharing knowledge among other day traders. And what I mean by other day traders, I'm referring to them, not myself personally. However, there are opportunities in the market. There has been opportunities across the board on the 4-hour, the hourly, the daily, the 15 minutes, and any other time interval. To start with the chart, I would like to bring, of course, the attention on the S&P, on BTC, Bitcoin, right? Because it's getting all the attention among the crypto space. So where are we in the crypto space? Where are we trading on BTC? Before I start, I would like to also make a comment about the market, or the mother market, that is there to remind us to remain grounded. Why? Because it will always teach us a lesson. I've been taught by the mother market plenty of times, right? When trying to be too greedy or too cocky, there comes mother market to spank us and remind us who is here to remain grounded, basically. All right, so let's start with the price action on Bitcoin. What is BTC doing? We reached nearly the projection at 68,000 region, 67,950 on the spot market, plus $50 among friends, right? However, on BTC futures, we achieved 69,000. A little bit of a price gap in there, or in between, for an opportunity for those who are trading the futures market. All right, so let's rewind where we were on the BTC on the price action for Bitcoin. Why? Because these levels are very important. It has been within our radar for a very long time, since last month, after the projection from 52,000 to 68, where we are currently, or 66 basically. However, let's rewind. What are the levels that we are looking here on the price action for Bitcoin? Why? Because we also touched the time axis previously, I remember, where we were looking at the price and time intervals, or time axis here, for October the 5th, prior to this upward move towards the 0.618, as well as the 0.50, and then another bullish pivot, I should say, now that we have more information on October the 10th, right? We're looking at October the 10th also, and we mentioned that as long as, one of the variables we mentioned clearly was, as long as BTC remains above the key psychological level at 60,000 region, which is a PRC of this variation of an information for a bullish arc pattern, we mentioned that this level is a key level to sustain. However, we were also cognizant of the levels up here at the 0.618, as well as the 0.50%, where we took, or I believe we took all together, a short-term short opportunity, 2% decline prior to reaching the 60, slightly higher, I believe, and then making this new low, correct? Anyways, this one represented a chart for a bearish 5-0. The bearish 5-0, in theory, for those of you familiar already, is a precursor of a bullish shark pattern that in theory finds support either at the 0.886, the 100%, all the way to the 1.13 pip extension, prior to bouncing to the 0.50% as well as the 0.618 from the highs to the lows. And this is where we were cautious, correct? Why? Because from here on, prices can either revert, break the prior low, which indeed occurred. However, it was a fake out. Recapture 60,000, key psychological level once again. And from there on, our approach was to monitor higher levels. To what levels? From the highs to the lows, back to the highs, back to the lows. This is posted in the room, by the way, all the way to the 0.786, correct? And the 0.886 for a deep Garley, where, by the way, we're here currently trading as of now on the 4-hour time frame. However, there is a range for shark patterns. By the way, this is a very shark patterns, also in the same manner. Okay, if I delete this one is a bullish shark pattern that can go all the way to the 0.50% as well as the 0.618 for the first target. And this is where traders, harmonic traders, are more cautious in the event of a reading of a bearish 5-0, meaning that was the highs and then we break lower. However, as more data continues to develop, the 60,000 region always remain a key level of support that was indeed recaptured. Fake out towards the downside 58,900 and change before recapturing the level and heading higher to nearly 68,000 region. That has been our main projection on the daily time frame, the 8 hours, the 12 hour, and the daily time frame. However, we can observe some turbulences, indeed some volatility here in this 4-hour candle. Is closing the next 18 minutes, where besides the levels or the projected levels in the short-term trend, once again on the 4-hour time frame, besides our projection to these levels, right, we got some turbulences in between. However, we are now here. Which one is this level? The 1.13, the failed wave, right? In the same context, such as the pattern on the left-hand side, the bullish shark, during that correction, this one also now becomes a key zone, either to break higher at 68,000. We're going to be moving into the weekly time frame and portray the major pattern, the structural formation as a descending running wedge that has been there for nearly 8 to 9 months, or since March, basically. So from here on, if we're not breaking any higher, correct, at the 1.13, I'm looking in the same context to where? To the 0.50, okay? 0.50 and the 0.618. Of course, we don't have to go there, but we can project the common areas of retracement where within an uptrend, okay, because this has been indeed the case, okay, looking left, market leave clues, consecutive higher lows, indication of an uptrending market. Simple as that, okay? Until, of course, a shift in sequence, violation of any of these higher lows occur, we then have a shift in sentiment or a change in character. That has not been the case. As of now, we are still uptrending, okay? So far, at least within this short-term trend, the 4-hour, okay? Clearly a channel where we are uptrending, correct? Consecutive higher lows and higher highs as of now. Where on the 4-hour, we look for momentum indicators. Are we observing some divergence or exhaustion within this time interval? As of now, on the 4-hour, we got a minor reading around the 80, reading nearly 75 on the RSI. No divergences as of now, however, convergence, correct? Within the price action as well as the RSI and the MACD. On the daily, what can we observe? Second positive momentum after the crossover on the histogram MACD on the daily, and also on the daily RSI, we're observing a 64 reading, which is a bullish territory in theory, okay? Clearly, we need to observe also when this downtrend changes, a change of character start to present, will be pretty much for us traders, the downsloping price contraction that can take us all the way to 68,000. That has been our main projection. Therefore, this is a key level for Bitcoin to either break or fake. Okay. So now, of course, as I said before, many times, we need to remain patient when it comes to the execution as well as to market analysis. Why? Because in between, there are so many variables. However, we need to step out and look at the larger picture. Okay. Looking at the larger picture, once again, only for those who are unfamiliar with our readings, the work we do at marble6.com is all posted and updated in videos as well as written updates on each room for each trader, day traders and swing traders as well. Okay. The main projection, once again, to go over that pattern completion point. Okay. For that pattern completion point or pending pattern completion point, I should say, we need to always look left, rewind the chart a little, and remain pretty much grounded, in my opinion, right? I've been wrong many times. I will be wrong again and again, but I believe consistency should be something to consider when analyzing the markets as well as when taking positions. Okay. So projection from BTC. Okay. Oops. Once again, I muted the soundtrack. However, this is a browser. The projection was a 52,000, only to reconstruct prior events, as we always say, that can take place on future price development. That was the main projection back then in August. Okay, we're moving into each time or each month for the projected levels that we were tracking on the price action for Bitcoin. Okay, 52,000 up until 59,000 prior to reaching 52. We reach the projection at 52,000, and from there on, we make a new projection towards the major time interval, the daily and the swing trading approach. Okay, from there on, nothing really changed. This is September the 12th. We are on the 15th, nearly a month and 3 days later. We then move into where we're currently trading in the price action for BTC, which is here. Okay, so now that we are here, of course, we're going to be cautiously optimistic, of course, right? We mentioned before the 0.78 or the 1 to 72, the VIP extension, that many moves tend to terminate extensions of prior swings. In this context, once again, we repeat this over and over. Why? Because repetition is a mother of all learnings, my friend. The swing high to the lows, we got the 172, pretty much close to the projected move at 68,000, right? 68,500 will be the ideal BRC, the potential reversal zone of this major ABCD on the daily time frame. Okay. However, as we move into price segments, I would also like to be cognizant of the major weekly structural pattern, which is a descending broadening wedge, which in theory and technically speaking, this is a continuation structure. Continuation of what? Marbob, tell me. Continuation of the prevailing trend that has been upwards. Okay. In theory. Okay. However, these patterns are also known for generating fake outs. And this is why we're going to be cautiously optimistic at 68,000 if we keep going to those levels. Okay. Now, where do I turn less cautious? In the event of breaking up higher and retesting the lower trend line as support, because it will be pretty much a textbook technical approach, right? From Bukowski or also from Richard Schumacher from the 1930s. That should be, or that is the approach that I've been taking for the past few years. However, this can always change, okay? We do know that technicals tend to perform 70 to 80% of the time, and the rest, of course, is there to print something different, okay? And this is why we need to remain grounded, my friends, right? Regardless of what you think you know, the market will always come and teach us a lesson, okay, to all of us. And I don't want to be negative here, but this is the reality of many new traders in the space who think that after getting 2 or 3 or 4 calls in a row per se, then we perceive that we entirely know what the market's going to do. I never know. So if you do know, please let me know where I can buy that crystal ball, my friends. All right. Anyway, so here we are. BTC 65,000, 66,000. The main projection at 68 remains here on the spot market, on Binance in this case, unless other exchanges already achieve those levels. I do know that on futures, we already achieved those levels. On BTC futures, if I go here on Binance once again, we reached pretty much a high of 69,169. Okay, 69,000 was achieved here on BTC, slightly higher than our main projection at 68,400. Okay, so this may explain why there probably was more contracts on the futures market where we got some buying pressure and we indeed achieved the 68,000 projection. Okay, now what will be my execution here on the daily time frame? I normally like to gather different time intervals on the daily, right? We achieve the levels. Do I have to enter right away? Absolutely not. Why? Because we're still within the daily time interval until the session closes here on this current trading session, which remains nearly 8 hours and 9 minutes. Okay, until the session closes, we then are going to construct to print new variables that can give us new information to the 4-hour time frame. Okay, and also the hourly. This is normally where I like to see the variables where, as I mentioned before, we were already projecting these highs of the 0.886 as the highest, 67,000 by the way. So 67, I believe everything is, 67,000. And the highest one, of course, a shark can print the 1.13 for the fib extension between the legs, okay, X to C in this case, okay. This is pretty much a failed wave within the harmonic structure, known as a fake out, basically. The 1.13, 68,000 was pretty much the session close on the hourly, right, before this downward pressure. So as of now, if we're continuously rejecting, or if we continue to reject at these levels, I would then anchor for a continuation structure, a momentum towards the upside will be pretty much a retracement to the 50% retracement or the 0.618 as support, okay? This will be the ideal scenario if we're indeed going to go slightly higher. Why slightly higher? Because I do also want to bring in mind that we were aware, I believe that was mentioned, I'm not sure if it was on the public or the private room, that we mentioned that there is a pending first butterfly also on, I believe it's the daily time frame on BTC. Okay, so this pattern, as of now, has been indeed generating some turbulences in confluence with the ABCD on the daily. Okay, but within the harmonic structure or the harmonic framework, the support level should ideally come towards the 50%, okay, or the 0.618, find another support to have the argument of a bullish 5-0, which will be pretty much a correction towards those levels before another attempted rally to break or fake the 68,000 region. As of now, sellers stepped in, demonstrating that there was indeed a wall of resistance. They probably took their trade already or their profit. By the way, I like to see when traders are taking their own trades. We got one of the members, Toisito, who was long on Turbo. Okay, so he was indeed loaded on Turbo with a 400% on his own, by the way. On his own. This is what I like to see when we compare the attitude from the previous room. I like to see when traders are growing on their own. This is satisfying when it comes to the trading field. So good luck to Toisito on your Turbo trade. Massive move, 400%. I'm not sure what the leverage percentage was in there, but kudos to him and anyone who is taking also the challenge on their own. Okay, this is what we like to see in our space, at least. Okay, so now I'm gonna move into the price action for Ethereum. Why Ethereum? I'm gonna read some of the comments. Shouting when moon, when dump. I believe we got both, right? The dump or pump and dump currently as of now. Tabby Cherry, come on, Bobby boy, show us what you got, my old friend. Hey, buddy, good to see you here. I believe this is Modi. Good to see Modi here. And this is the way. Yeah, that was the intro, the song on the intro for the stream. Matt Newell, good to see you here. This might be a new user. Money printer. No, we're not the Fed. We're only traders here. Europa 77 bull trap. It can absolutely be the case. This is why we're being, in our analysis, we're always objective, right? We're trying to remove our biases, but we're trying to present arguments objectively, right? To remove any preconceived bias, the market will do this or that. We present what we see in the chart and try to act accordingly based on the technical information, okay? So now let's go back into the price action for Ethereum. Why Ethereum? Because it's the second largest cryptocurrencies or in the space. Therefore, Ethereum also pretty much a similar pattern. I can observe this one is a floating by ice. I can observe this is a garly or a bad or a deep garly. A bad pattern, pretty much. Let's see if those ratios matches. Why we mention the ratios? Because the work of Scott Carney comes here into place for those precise alignments. This is not my work. I'm only a harmonic pattern trader who adopted his strategy as my edge, basically. Why? Because it was the only strategy that worked for me. But again, what worked for me may not work for you, and this is pretty much different for every single trader, okay? But based on this approach, the harmonic strategy framework or strategy, we indeed printed here a bearish bad pattern on the 4-hour time frame. These are indeed short-term opportunities that can be taken in the price action for Ethereum. However, we zoom into the daily time frame. We're looking for the timing factor also on ETH. I'm going to explain why here. We already know this in the room. Over a month or two now, we're tracking other levels, but previously also presented in the price action for Ethereum. There are key levels to monitor on ETH. There was the timing factor. Okay, I go here into Ethereum. This is futures. I need to go back into the spot market. Why? Because there is more data on Binance. Okay, Ethereum. This is USD. I would like to have Tether here. More readings. Okay, we were looking here on ETH on the weekly. I believe it was even. Okay, the timing factor for, I believe, was the week of September the 29th for a potential cycle low. Okay, so if I plot here the 29th, this one was pretty much this one. Okay, what do we have here? Unbelievable. Can this be the cycle low on ETH? I do not know. Okay, why? Because we have some pending formations here on the weekly. However, this doesn't have to be the case. Potentially the only low we printed so far was the 0.786 at 2000 region. I believe our target was 2100 as a minimum, but we reached 2070. Once again, was $30 among friends, right? Anyways, we're still here at the lows, right? This is on the weekly structure. We were looking once again potential cycle low on the week of September the 29th, right? September 29th. Was it September 29th? It was here, my friends. I apologize. It was this one here, this recent candle. From there on, what occurred? Let's see. 15% move on the weekly. It seems minor, but if we zoom into the daily time frame, there were other variables presented in the room. I believe we gave a setup also on the last video. I believe, if I remember correctly, if my brain is not going against me, I do believe we mentioned that a long execution could have been taken at the 53,070. That was a 0.886, if I remember correctly, at these lows. Okay, yeah, it was within this second retest of the prior reactive move, if I remember correctly. Whether or not those or this prior support or this one was presented, I believe was the prior one even, at 53.73. Why that was a lower risk opportunity? Because if we look left, once again, market leaf clues, the prior pattern or the pattern presented here also previously of this information for a bullish deep guard. In this case, a deep garly normally goes from the X to the A. The regular garly goes to the 0.786. Okay, however, deep garlies can go to the 0.886. As the name suggests, deep penetration. Should I say deep penetration at the 0.886? We penetrated indeed slightly below, recaptured the 0.886, and then we started to go higher. Okay, ideally within the harmonic framework, we got a type 1, correct? Type 1 and type 2. Apologies if I'm being inappropriate, but this is the word from the technicians of the past when every time I read their book, such as Harold Garley, when he talks about a shifting sequence or a deep penetration of the structural formation, I tend to laugh here and there. Okay. Anyways, on the daily time frame, type 1 reactive move, type 2 return. The type 2 return is basically another retest of the prior or near the lows as a higher low where the construction of a new uptrending market may start developing. Okay, so this is was indeed a lower risk to execute at the 53,000 region based once again on this particular time frame. I do believe this pattern was presented, or this video is in the within the room. Okay, I do believe I presented this argument now that I remember. So now from that lows, okay, we got nearly 14-15% move. Even if we go lower, right, that was indeed a substantial move for at least a short-term opportunity. However, what I do like about Ethereum, speaking of momentum here, is the pattern on the weekly, okay? Why the weekly? I remove this pattern. So far, we may indeed have that Garley pattern based on the work of Larry Pesavento, anchoring the lows, back to the highs, back to the lows. A 50% reading normally give us a reading at the 0.886. However, based on Larry Pesavento, he also sustained that the 0.786 is also a reactive move for Garley patterns, whether the B point ranges between the 0.382 also and all the way to the 0.618. These are the ratios for Larry Pesavento, okay? Ideally, based on Scott Carney, we would like to see here the 0.886 slightly lower at 1800. However, we also need to adjust to new market information because we're not going to be waiting for those lows if we are indeed constructing here a potential turning point after the projection on the potential turning point for a cycle low that came, as of now, indeed came so far on the week of September the 29th, basically the end of the month. Okay, another bullish harami here, another information here that must be considered on the price action for ETH. Indeed presented the levels. Okay, now that we're observing, this is indeed a Japanese candlestick from also Steve Neeson, who brought the Japanese candlestick into the West. He popularized this trading strategy from Japan to the US, basically. Okay, so here, bullish harami, some follow through within the momentum. Was this indeed the cycle low or the construction of a potential major turning point? We have been indeed in a decline since May, basically, or pretty much since March of this year, right? A double top here, decline, and now we are observing some momentum, right? Can this only be a short-term lift? We will see, my friends. We never know. However, when we are approaching the deep levels of retracement from a major time frame, such as a weekly, from the lows to the highs, and we're testing either the 0.786 or the 0.886, this is where we start to look for those variables that can start shifting from a downward move towards the upside. Okay, here we have something that I would like to pay attention here is, you guys know me, right? This can also be the type 2 or the early construction, right? Even if we go lower, I would like to pay attention here on Ethereum. Okay, same as the crypto, the total cap for for altcoins, basically. Okay, we have indeed the previous support in a similar context here for a bullish cipher, major upward move. Okay, on Ethereum, but we were pretty much trading in this region on BTC among other altcoins all the way up until the recent highs, where our approach was indeed not bearish, but we were pretty much optimistic. Okay, we were pretty much favoring the upward traction up until the 4,000, also in the same manner for BTC 73,000. Okay, and now there are other levels higher, but how can we go to those levels? We need to constantly monitor the weekly, the daily, and the 4-hour. Mainly the weekly and the daily, I should say, for an idea here. Okay, once again, only an idea. Why? Because in the same context, the type 1 reactionary move of this major M formation on the weekly, could this be the beginning of something larger, of a bigger magnitude? If we anchor those harmonic ratios once again, this was the idea on the total 3 for the altcoins. Pretty much Ethereum, as the second largest cryptocurrency, will pretty much reflect what the total 3 is printing. Okay, so we have the highs to the lows. Back to the highs, we have a reading at the 0.786. We're now constructing. Are we constructing this C leg of the move that I like to trade on the bigger time frames? If we are here indeed, okay, all the way to 0.886 even, right? If you're a swing trader, you need to pay attention to those levels, the deepest areas of retracement. Why? Because if we hold either of these levels, my projection or the projection from a harmonic pattern perspective will be pretty much the completion point at the 1.72, the 1.41, and the 1.618. Okay, so there are plenty of work to be done here. I don't want to be so bullish here, okay? But this is indeed the approach that we have been taking from years. 2017, 18, 19, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and now here we are on 2024, heading towards the periods of risk for 2025 and 2026. This might be the argument, okay? Maybe there is a pending run in 2025 prior to that major drawdown in 2026. We will see and we will act accordingly, okay? Now, speaking of the equities market, okay, we're going back into the S&P 500. I believe the market sentiment is now shifting from the bears, basically, now turning or having the 6,000 region. Give me a break, okay? Why give me a break? Because we all know the story, what happened in the equities market, that after the projection from 2022, okay, if we go back in time, we need to remind here ourselves that the projection is not surprising that we are trading within this 57, 5,800, and 6,000 region. We currently have an open position, a trade on the S&P 500 in the room. We're seeing some decline, playing accordingly. However, I was slightly underwater yesterday, by the way, and to be completely honest, slightly underwater, managed to re-enter at 5,900, and here we are observing some turbulences. Can this only be a minor turbulence on the 4-hour prior to reaching the major projection to the 6,000 region? We do know that it has been within our radar for not only now, that many are calling 6,000, right? Let's rewind and go back to 2022, where this main projection was presented and now basically being manifested in the long-term trend, which is a weekly time frame, okay? When I finalize with this process, or this thinking process on the price action for the S&P 500, apologize, I got stuck there for a second. Our projection is now coming into reality, my friends. Okay, so if you're seeing 6,000 among the bears, give them a reminder to watch their videos back in 2023, 2022, even 2021, and let's see what the accuracy of those projections were. Okay, anyways, 6,000 region, the projection is now coming into our expectation. Okay, we anchor that the reciprocal move from this correction that took place pretty much all the way since 2021, which, by the way, we also shifted our approach from this move from 2020, 2021. Okay, I switched from one room to the other for the same reason. It appears that every time I join, I believe that there is a room of real traders. I get disappointed over and over. And this is also part of the reason, based on the request of the members, that we have this room now where I can openly speak my own mind, right? We all share opinions, of course, but at the end of the day, I can openly share my perspective on the macro that I do not want to take credit, but it has been respected over and over for years now. So therefore, there is something in that projection that I normally like to make on the macro weekly structure for BTC and any other trading instrument. However, ABCD projection, can we only anchor those levels and say, yes, we were absolutely bullish from the lows at 3,500. We were cautiously optimistic. There were variables. Okay, what was those variables? Okay, that was printed at this high. Was this only a projection from the A, B, C, D structural formation? Now everybody's talking about the measure move of the structure 6,000. What is going on, my friends? I have no idea why that projection wasn't even made when in 2022. If they were projecting these levels at 6,000 on the S&P 500, I would have more respect. But shifting your analysis, trying to prove that you're right, it doesn't work when it comes to trading. And probably those who are calling for 6,000 now did not make any profit during the entire bull run, right? This probably, if my statistical analysis is correct, they did not make any profit during the entire upward traction. Why? Because if you are betting against a trend, you're going to be run over, right? You need to know, as I said before, when recognizing these changes in the market trend is what creates a difference between those who know how to trade and those who do not. Okay. So now, what did we have here at the 50% correction? Okay. By the way, I am being more cautiously optimistic. I'm being openly open. Is that even a word? I'm being open about my approach, 5,700, 5,800, and 6,000. Okay. I'm not being extremely bullish here as we're observing in the market. We said this last year that once we reach, and if we reach these levels at 5,800, 5,900, 6,000 even, that was within our radar, our projection also, we are going to see the market shift from bearish, right, at the lows. Everybody and their mother was calling for lower levels. Now everybody and their cousins are calling for higher levels. Okay. This is where the momentum indicators on the sentiment indicator comes into place, right? We're observing now that we are having a reading of extremely bullish readings when it comes to a sentiment indicator. This is only the time that I like to take a look at those indicators and compare to current market conditions. We are indeed printing the same data points, and indeed we are. Okay. To explain the anatomy of this projection on the S&P 500, regardless of taking positions on the 4-hour, because on the weekly we're still aiming for that, or the monthly even, for that 6,001, 6,003. Okay. And by the way, I can absolutely be wrong here, my friends, because from here on, even if we go to that levels, if we are not indeed, if we continue to go higher, I will be absolutely wrong. Okay. And I'm openly, or I accept the challenge to be wrong. Okay. I was again favoring the upward traction. And even if we go to 63,000 and we're not turning from there on, we're going to have to gather new information within the price action. If we go, let's say 7,000 or 8,000, nobody knows. There was no data points up until these current levels that we are nearing now, the 6,000 region. Okay. Where all the banks are now calling for 6,000. Once again, give me an effing break. So now going back into the levels that was printed here, what was the technical reading that we were looking for at these levels? Because to me, it's important to manage the execution also accordingly on the swing trading strategy. The levels presented back then, okay, projection being made on December the 5th, 2022, now currently nearly 2 years of this main projection, okay? However, a month later, or a few months and days later, I was looking at these levels, right? Not only projecting an ABCD without another reading after a month or two later, where indeed was a reading that we presented back then in the previous room, my friends. Higher highs in the price action, lower lows in both momentum indicators, signaling a hidden bullish divergence, indication of continuation of the prevailing trend. Therefore, the ABCD structure for me made sense back then. However, for those who are not calling 6,000, my friends, you need to remind them that do not try to have a call only to be right, my friend, okay? Accept to be wrong and move on, okay? Anyways, moving back into the technical reading, 50% retracement. What is this? Dow theory, 50% decline of prior advance from the COVID lows to the highs of 2021, March 2020 to January 2022. Okay, correction of the prevailing trend that has been upwards. Then we have also other technical readings. A piercing line, Japanese candlestick here from Steve Nissen once again, who brought the strategy from Japan to the west, okay, or from east to the west, I should say. Now give us a reading that from 2023, okay, early 2023, we then strengthen the argument for higher levels at this region, okay. Even though I'm taking short positions on the 5,700 first on July, the previous summer, a 10% decline, then again after another 5%, and currently at 58, 70, 80, and 5,900, right? It doesn't mean that my projection is not there. It remains at 6,001 regardless. I'm taking positions. Why? Because the risk to reward ratio now, after an upward traction of 2 years, is nearly or nearing the pending completion point that we have been expecting or projecting, I should say, okay, because we cannot expect anything. Everything changes all the time. However, our projections, the 6,000 region on the S&P 500 is now nearing those levels, despite the short-term volatility that I've been taking here and there, okay? However, my main focus will be here. Once we reach here, I have to admit, I can be wrong if this is going to be the major turning point, because I do not know, my friends, okay? However, we have May, or the week of October the 28th and 29th for this month. We are nearing those levels from potentially a cycle low back then, nearing now constantly. You can observe here the timing factor nearing 2025. If this is accurate or not, I do not know. Okay, so anyways, Dow theory 50% decline from the previous advance, with the momentum indicator signaling that upward traction was indeed suggesting a potential turning point, where all Wall Street analysts, such as Mike Wilson, among others, were calling for 3,000. Magically, from 3,000, now they have 6,000. What a joke, okay? Anyways, it's time for me to get out of here, my friends. However, I would like to only present the technical ratings that I presented over and over the past years now, and hope you guys enjoy our unbiased approach. Why? Because we respect the technicals of the past, or the legends of the past, from Charles Dow, Carly, among all the titans of the past, I should say. Apologies, okay? Why? If you guys have any question or doubt, you guys can always visit marvop6.com, and we'll be more than happy to have you join our Discord room. We're not trying to sell you anything, of course, like any other room. We have our private room, the public room. However, the conversation there is open to anyone who wants to join. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. And remember to live a life with an attitude of gratitude. Cheers, my friends.